Look, is everyone in America entitled to do the one thing that they want to do with their life if that's becoming the starting quarterback for an NFL team?
Right.
No. There are 32 guys out there who get that job, and it's for a whole lot of reasons. And it's not just whether or not they can throw a football down the field.
So Michel Tafoya, right, long time sideline reporter. She finished her career with the Super Bowl. She started a new career immediately by making a whole lot of people mad by saying something completely true about Colin Kaepernick. I'm reading here from The Spun by Sports Illustrated. Less than 24 hours after her retirement from broadcasting, Tafoya joined the Megyn Kelly show to discuss some controversial topics. During her appearance on the right-wing program, she shared her opinion on former NFL quarterback turned political activist Colin Kaepernick. Quote, if the one thing he wanted in his life was to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, he'd be one right now, given that he had the talent, she said on Monday. But he made some business decisions. I think he knew what he was risking, and I think there are some legitimate complaints about race in the NFL and everywhere else in America, but that's not why Colin Kaepernick's not in the NFL. This was met with predictable complaints from predictable people. So we got some responses that this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to the NFL right now. Right after Brian Forrest comes out and sues the league, she does this interview. Standing up for justice isn't a business decision, another added. You can disagree with Kaepernick all you want, but to say he wasn't blackballed is at this point absurd. Far worse QBs got second, third, and fourth chances. Michelle knows what she is saying is nonsense, so why is she saying it? And finally, she is absolute trash. She seems to be making some business decisions of her own. Wow. So first, before I get into my opinion on the matter, what do you have?
Quick take. So I'm kind of torn in between here. I do agree with her that the things he did distracted away from what he was as a football player. And teams were not willing to take that risk based on the media circus that would kind of come along with it. Now, there are quarterbacks like Tim Tebow who were a media circus in themselves. The difference here between Tebow and Kaepernick is Tebow typically brought around, if it's even possible to say a good media circus, he brought good attention to the team.
He brought people that didn't watch football in to watch football.
Yeah, and at the time, it was kind of a really divisive topic for a lot of people around the league. With all that being said, I personally have never thought Colin Kaepernick was that great of a quarterback. Now, yes, he did take the Niners to a Super Bowl, but it wasn't because he was a great quarterback that he got there. Now, absolutely, is he a better quarterback than some of these guys like Nick Foles, like Mike Glennon, Andy Dalton, that have gotten opportunities to go be a starting quarterback in the NFL right now? Absolutely. Absolutely. He's not the best quarterback. He's not even a top 15. He's not even a top 20 quarterback. But he still has ability to play in this league. And that goes back to like what I was saying about the media attention you're going to get bringing Kaepernick in. Eric Reed was another guy who was along with Colin Kaepernick that did initially get blackballed.
Colin Kaepernick, they settled his lawsuit. The guy that was in on it with him, Eric Reed, they settled with him too. He's still playing in the NFL.
So with the whole Kaepernick thing, like I said, that's where I'm torn, because he did get blackballed because of the decisions he made. And then again, there was the whole media circus where he was trying to change the tryout around to fit his needs. Again, there was arguments back and forth whether he made changes or the NFL tried to make last minute changes. I could see that he tried to play the victim role to get more attention there. I don't think football is his top priority.
I'll say that he absolutely is a top 32 quarterback. He's good enough to start for a team in the NFL. He was absolutely blackballed, and he was absolutely blackballed because he chose to be blackballed. My kids don't pay attention to anything, right? They're 12 and 14 years old. They don't give a shit. You know who Colin Kaepernick is? No idea. Cool. Here's what happened. He was a good quarterback, took his team to the Super Bowl. And then in 2016, he sat on the sideline during the national anthem. People got upset. Post-game interview, he said he's not going to salute the flag of a country that oppresses black people. And he got into it for it. He consulted with somebody and they said you should kneel, which I agreed with at the time. I remember the protest at the very beginning. I was pissed off that he sat on the bench. When he decided to kneel, I was like, okay, that's cool. He continued his protest and it brought all kinds of negative attention to the team. And I said to my 12 and 14-year-old, what is an NFL team supposed to do? And my 14-year-old answered correctly. And he said, make money. because he understands the world better than Colin Kaepernick does. An NFL team is not there to win. They're not there to showcase talents. They're not there to pile up stats. They're there to make money. Colin Kaepernick drove fans away and he drove advertisers away, and he cost his team money, and that's why he ended up out of the league. And so, I'm telling him this whole story, and I'm like, and then years later, NFL organizers try during the season just for him. And my 12-year-old daughter was like, really? Just for him? Because it's bonkers that somebody would be allowed to do this. And then I was like, yeah. And he got the tryout. And then the day before, he said he wasn't going to go. And they're like, what is he doing? And I'm like, then he organized his own tryout. And I'm like, yeah. And then it's like, and the video showed that he was terrible. I don't know if you watched the video from his individual tryout that he set up, but he looked terrible. And I was like, that's probably why I didn't want to go try out in front of the NFL coaches, because he was so obviously bad. So why was he out of the league? It's like, well, because he was protesting and costing the team money. It's like, money costing the team money because he was protesting. And they looked at me and I was like, no, because Malcolm Jenkins protested just as much. Malcolm Jenkins held a fist up. Jenkins was in this with Colin Kaepernick for the long haul and never lost his job. Malcolm Jenkins continued starting in the NFL. Not only that, but he organized with the owners and the coaches and the league, and he created a charity, and he got money sent to the causes that both he and Colin Kaepernick were fighting for. So Colin Kaepernick was not blackballed for the protests. He was not blackballed for kneeling. He was blackballed for being a dick and not being very good at football.
Yeah, well, and my whole thing, you and I have talked about this before, is I had no issue actually with him going ahead and taking a knee. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with you want to raise your fist. I'm even fine if you want to go ahead and just sit on the bench.
I'm cool with everything
with
except
me.
sitting on the bench.
Yeah. No, see, I'm fine with that as long as you're not doing anything. The one thing I'd like to point out, nobody made a big deal about this, but while everybody's lined up for the national anthem, LaShawn McCoy was on the sideline, stretching, jogging, getting loosened up for the game. No one said anything.
People talked about it a lot.
But that to me, I was like, that was disrespectful. Well, if we want to really talk about patriotism, then really what the NFL should have done when they got paid by the government to play it back in 2009 is the NFL should have returned that money and said, no, we want to be patriots. We're going to play the national anthem, not taking that check.
I didn't know the NFL was getting paid for that until probably 2017. I have two feelings about that. One, I don't like that we're paying people for patriotic displays, that it's called a fucking patriotic display. I have problems with that. But also, it's so disturbing the fact that we are at a point nationally where you have to advertise America within the country. Conservatives have been talking about anti-American sentiment and blah, 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 anti-patriotism for 20 years, and everybody's like, no, you're trying to claim patriotism for yourself. You're trying to pretend that you can't be patriotic if you are dissenting from, this was during the Bush era, like if you're dissenting from the government, you can't be patriotic. Here's what you're trying to claim, but that's not true. You can be patriotic. But then during the Obama administration, we are literally advertising America because, I don't know, we need more market share within our own country. Ridiculous.
But they were paying in 2015. John McCain found that the government was paying for sports marketing, and it was dubbed paid patriotism. And they wrote into the contracts with the NFL, with the Major League Baseball, with the NBA, with hockey, with soccer, that they were required to play the national anthem as part of the paid patriotism.
Yeah, we're looking at $7, $8, $10 million is what I'm seeing per year. So there's a lot of money added up.
It's just funny to me. It's just funny to me. Say, don't tell me about it's patriotism. If really is patriotism, all these places would have taken and given the money back and said, we're all about patriotism. We'll do it without getting paid for it.